we spent a lot of time on Trump. We have spoken a bit about Biden, but we haven't really spoken about Kamala Harris at all. So maybe the first thing I ought to ask is, do you have a word for her the way that you do for Trump or Biden? Do you have general expectations from her? I spoke to Judith Butler recently. That's an episode that will be coming out around this time. We spoke about Israel and Palestine. We spoke about the election. Something that I found interesting about their view on the election, on Harris, is that they aren't particularly excited about Harris, but they really just view Harris as a way to block Trump. That's the biggest problem. So I'm just curious about your genuine thoughts on the issue.
Go back to the beginning of our conversation. I don't have strong thoughts about Kamala Harris because I really don't know very much about her. She doesn't have much of a record. She was an attorney general in California. She was a senator. I understand all that, but she didn't do very much, didn't initiate very much. But I don't care because I don't see these people as significant. Bernie, in my judgment, was significant because he was a little bit of a break. Trump, I tried to suggest, was a break. And ironically, Biden was a return. But notice I'm making them significant in terms of the larger picture, not so much what they did or didn't do as a group. So my first reaction is, what are the larger phenomena that are at play here that may make her be noteworthy in some way that we might imagine discussing 6 months from now? Well, first and foremost is the fact that she's female. And secondarily, that she's a brown female. This is in our culture, this is extremely important, that it is possible for a female, let alone a brown female, to be in this position, that this is possible. An enormous part of our population can't digest this, will vote against her because of it, or not vote at all because of it. It's particularly hard for men who have all kinds of problems, but particularly these days, problems with black or brown, and with women. You know, as a professor, we are watching in our classrooms an unbelievable shift. When I began teaching economics, it would not be uncommon for me to have 25 men and 4 or 5 women in a classroom. That would not be unusual. Now it's the reverse. Women outnumber men in colleges and universities in America for the first time. And the gap between them is getting larger with each passing semester. I mean, the culture is shifting, the values are shifting, the attitudes are shifting, and she's a reflection of that, and she will carry that. It's not accidental that her number one issue is abortion. I mean, yes, that's possible. And if she wins, it will be, in my judgment, because she gets a wildly disproportionate vote from women and female black and brown people. It's not so clear with the male black and brown. That cuts the other way because they're male.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not up to date on the polling numbers.
The polls show that. So I think she is another step in the breakdown of those hierarchies, but it means she's also another step in provoking the white supremacy and the horror of the part of the population that was brought up to believe that the order of the universe has them above them, and that doesn't look like it if you have an Obama Look, Trump is in office in part because of the reaction against Obama. That seems clear to me. She's going to provoke that too. And she's going to have to manage that the way Obama struggled to manage that. So that's one thing. More mysterious, because she's unknown, more mysterious is what will be the impact, so very different from anybody who's come before, of having a president, both of whose parents are not Americans. They come from other cultures, other societies, her father is a West Indian, and her mother is an East Indian. I mean, she is a very different thing. And if you believe in history, as we've been talking all this time, she's the product of what went before. She's the product, among other things, of her mother and her father. And that's not going to determine things, but it's going to play a role in how the evolving situation of the United States reaches her ears, plays in her mind, shapes how she, being a powerful, if she wins, a powerful person, is going to make her decisions, choose her advisors, and all the rest of that. I'll give you an example. I know and have read the economic analysis published by her father. Super. Some of the best stuff there is in economics. All right. I don't know what the relationship is between father and daughter. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's always a mystery anyway. I have a daughter. I'm fully aware of the mystery. On the other hand, wow, Bernie doesn't have that. Trump, well, that's a joke. Kamala Harris's father is a professional economist, trained in the West, in the United States and so forth, heterodox in his views, very well accomplished, really clear on the whole third world economic development, but other related issues, highly theoretically sophisticated. I mean, and Donald Trump's father was a real estate hustler. That's different. You end up with different children who focus in different ways on the world if you have that difference. I don't know what Joe Biden's father was, but I'm sure it was not what Donald Harris, Kamala Harris's father, who was alive, who was and is doing. He's also critical of capitalism.
That's surprising.
Yeah, Donald Harris, very much. Otherwise, I wouldn't know him so well.
Yeah.
But you have two people in the current cabinet like that. Peter Buttigieg's father was a Marxist also, Marxist English professor. And so you have Buttigieg and you have Harris, and they have influences that normally you do not get coming in at the American government. I'm even surprised that the right-wing crazies haven't made more of an issue of all of this. It's just childish and silly, but it's the kind of stuff that our mainstream media, I mean, if you can spend 2 weeks talking about the problems of ingesting pets, you can certainly do that.